Hi, my name is Sadie Hoagland, and I'm here with Christina Hobbs for the Utah Book Fest. Christina and Christina Lauren, are going to be reading in a few weeks for the Utah Book Fest, and we're here to ask them a few questions. They've kindly agreed to be here. Christina's here to answer some questions about their work and collaboration and the book Something Wilder. Hi, Christina.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. I know Lo is not here, but I have to start
Yep,
with the fact that there are two of you,
yep.
and it looks like one author because you've combined your names. And I just wanted to ask you how you collaborate on writing your books. Your best friend, so this just seems like a dream to me, but can you talk a little bit about your process and how you came to start collaborating together?
Yes. So I'm Christina, and Lo and I have been writing together for almost 13 years now. And I think one of the reasons it works so well is because this is how we started out, and our friendship grew right along with our co-authorship. We didn't know each other very well when we decided to start writing, so it was kind of just magical that it worked out so well. So Lo and I met writing fan fiction in 2009. And we were kind of talking online and stuff. And then Lo was organizing a panel at San Diego Comic-Con on fan works. And since I had a sort of popular story at the time, she invited me to come out. And we just like got along really well. In fact, she had just found out she was pregnant with her youngest daughter. And we sort of measure our friendship by that because she had just found out like that day. And I was one of the first people that she told. And now she's going to be 13 and she's sort of my second little bestie. So our, we started, decided to write like a kind of fan fiction collaboration together. And that was so much fun that for some reason we were like, do you want to write a book? Which seemed like a really obvious next step. We were so naive. I don't really know what we were thinking. But it just worked out. We started to write a kind of terrible book. And then once we realized we didn't have to be really serious, we just needed to write the things that we wanted to read. It just like, it worked. And we wrote this kind of YA Greek mythology book because we thought we were going to write YA. We queried, we got an agent, and then our book that sold first was a romance, and that sort of changed the trajectory of our career. And because we've been doing this for so long, sometimes we have way more things going on, and we have to change our process. And the number one thing I would say is that we've learned to be super flexible. So normally what we do is we always outline together. We divide things up by chapter or point of view or however we're going to do it. We work simultaneously, but not together. So she's in California, I'm in Utah. And we have a schedule. She's so good at that. She'll put together the schedule, what's supposed to be done when. That's just more her strong suit. And like I always joke that she keeps this train running. And we'll work on our parts and upload them so we can each reference them. And then at some point we will combine them. And we edit a ton. I think that's why it feels really seamless when you read, because we draft really fast and then we just edit and edit. That's where we feel like the magic really happens. And a good book becomes like a great book. But as we've got busier, like this year, we're working on 3 things at once. Plus we're doing copy edits on our book that comes out in May of 2023. Plus we've had a ton of travel. We just got back from France and London. So we're doing something different where she's drafting one thing. I'm sort of like really heavily outlining something else, essentially writing every single thing that's going to happen. And then we will switch and she will sort of like draft that while I go back through and edit the next thing, and we'll see how it works. It might not work, but we have sort of learned that sometimes we have to divide and conquer and go with our strengths. That was
Wow.
a very long answer.
No, it's incredible. It was exactly what I wanted to know. Just how does this work? Like it just is pretty phenomenal. I want to talk about Something Wilder, which is I think what you're going to be kind of reading and celebrating at the Utah Book Fest, which I can't wait to read. It takes place here in Utah, where you, Christina, live. So I just wondered what inspired this particular book. This may be another way of asking, how do you come up with your ideas?
So sometimes one thing we've learned is that like you kind of have to have a little bank of ideas, because you might have like a nugget of something, but you don't have the pieces to put it together until later. A good example was our book, Love in Other Words. We started writing that in like 2010 before we even had an agent. And we only had the then portion of it. And we didn't know what to do. We thought it was going to be a YA book. So we just put it away. And then in 2018, we realized, oh, it's a then and now book. And we finished that and it came out that year. But now it's been like sort of TikTok favorited and has had like a brand new life. So that's been wonderful. So this book, Something Wilder, we had this idea for this. We wanted to do something that was sort of like a love letter to Romancing the Stone and Indiana Jones and National Treasure and all those things, particularly because it's 2021, early 2021, and sort of still deep in the pandemic. And neither one of us could imagine writing something that took place inside. And so we'd have been toying with this idea for this sort of down and out, like canyoneering guide who took people out on, like rich people out on fake old timey treasure hunts in the desert. And then this woman, this kind of city girl, comes on a work trip and they're sort of thrown back together. And then they realize that there's possibly real treasure. And as we started writing it, we realized like, you know, Lo has had two smaller kids at home and they were doing homeschool, and she was making a million quesadillas all day. And it's like she would do one thing and they would come in, my computer's not working, this isn't working, this isn't working. And we were like, we just could not imagine writing something, because in this book, in the original version, Lily sort of puts her life on hold to raise her sister. And Lo was like, I can't write a book right now where somebody puts their life on hold for somebody else. I can't do it. So we gender swapped it. And we made Leo our city guy, our city boy, and Lily our canyoneering expert. And as soon as we did that, everything just came together. So she is essentially the daughter of this very famous Indiana Jones-ish treasure hunter. And she's a little bit bitter about it. She was always kind of came second in her eyes to his like adventures. And he's gone now, and she uses these maps in this notebook that he left her to take people out on these treasure hunts. And she's just so tired of it. She wants her land back. They used to have this ranch, but he sold it right before he died. And that's all she wants back. And she decides she's going to do one final trip. And who shows up but Leo, who is her long lost love of 10 years ago. They met when he was working on the dude ranch that her family owned. And kind of everything goes hilariously wrong, and they realize that there's possibly real treasure. And we based it off of a lot of people think that Butch Cassidy's treasure is still hidden out in Utah in the desert, because, you know, for people who don't know, a lot of that area, like Robber's Roost and all of those things, are in Utah. And a lot of people think that he and the Sundance Kid hid their treasure, their final last thing, before fleeing to South America, and that they died before they could come back. So there are people now that are out there looking for it. So we sort of played on that and hired this man who essentially does what Lily does. He's a movie scout, and he takes rich people out on these adventures, and he helped us do maps, and he taught us what, you know, Lily would have in her backpack and what they would do and all these things, so that the reader really felt like Lily could take them out into the desert and get them back alive.
Wow, I'm so excited to read it. And I'm really excited you swapped the gender too. Like that just, I think, is a really, like the idea of a female canyoneering. I just think it's more intriguing. So thank you.
It was really fun. She has this sort of like best friend, Nicole, and you want them to kind of run your life. They're so capable. And I love characters that just feel so capable that you would really trust them with your life, with anything.
Yeah, that's great. I can't wait to read it. I know a lot of readers harbor secret dreams of writing, and I'm sure you get this at all of your events, but what kind of advice do you give wannabe writers and or people interested in working collaboratively?
Number one, I would say that there is no one path to becoming a writer. And also, if you write, you are a writer. Some of the best advice we ever got was from Tahereh Mafi, who wrote like the Shatter Me series. And she had told us very, very early on that you are a writer. The only difference between a published author and an unpublished author is where you meet them in that journey. So if you are writing, whether it's fan fiction stories or whatever. You are a writer. But Lo has written her entire life for fun. Her mom, when she moved away to college, her mom found all of these like notebooks that had like Days of Our Lives, like fan fiction, but Lo didn't know it was fan fiction that she was writing at the time. Where I didn't start writing for fun until I was in my 30s and recovering from surgery, and stumbled across fan fiction and found this entire community. So number one, you're never too old, and everybody's path is different, and how you get there and how you write the book is the right path for you. And number two, I would say to read voraciously, read what you want to write, be knowledgeable about that genre, but also read outside of it, read above your pay grade, read everything. If you say you don't have time to read, you don't have time to write. You have to be like, good writers, I think, are readers first. And it's so important not only to know what's happening in book world, but also to know what's happening so you can lift other writers up. We really feel like that's our responsibility, is to help sort of like baby authors coming up and stuff. And then run your own race. It's really easy to see what's happening outside and what your friends are doing, or what this person has or what that person has. And all you can focus on is the book that you write. And like, from comparison comes unhappiness. So just know that what you're doing is the right thing and just stick to it.
That's great advice. Thank you so much for joining us today, Christina.
Of
I really
course.
appreciate it.
Of course.
We're looking forward to your event.
Thank you.